Okay, so this is document production and we're looking at the June 2013 paper 2 version 1. I'll put a link to this file in the description below. So it says using a suitable software package, load the file jx3 winfarms.rtf. First thing that you need to do once you've opened this is to save it as a Word document. Don't leave it as an RTF, because if you have to close it for any reason or it crashes, then you'll lose a lot of your formatting. So when you do File Save As, make sure in the drop down list you change it from rich text format to Word document and press save. Then it's just a case of pressing Ctrl and S or clicking on the disk, and it will save what you've done every time you feel that you've got something correct. So it says to set the page size to A4 and the orientation to landscape. To do that, and most of the things that we'll be using will be in the page layout menu. You've got your orientation set to landscape and the size set to A4. Top and bottom margins to 2 centimeters and the left and right to 2.5. So if you go to margins and then custom margins, it was the top was 2, the bottom was 2, and the others were 2.5. Press OK and it will change it on your document. It does say to place a screenshot evidence of your page size settings in your evidence document. To do that, you're going to need to do a print screen showing that being highlighted. You will also need to do a print screen showing that you've got landscape, and also if you go to custom margins and do a print screen of this window to show that you've set your margins correctly as well. Save the document with a new name in your work area. So we just called it what it was already called, so it's now WinFarms 2, so that now has a new name. Place in the header your center number left aligned and the automated file name right aligned. So if you go to Insert, Header, always choose blank 3 columns so that it aligns your headers or footers to the margins, because you will lose a mark if they don't. So in the left hand side it's said to put your center number, and in the right hand side it asked you to put in the automated file name. So to do that, go to Quick Parts. No, sorry, if you go to Document Info, you can just click on File Name and it will put that in for you. If it wants the path as well, then obviously you can do that in the same menu. As there's nothing in the middle, we can just delete that. It says in the footer to put today's date left aligned. So if we go to Insert, Footer, blank 3 columns, in the left hand side it wanted the date, so we can just press OK and it will put the date in. And the your name and candidate number right aligned. So over here you just type in your name and your candidate number, and as there's nothing in the middle you can delete that. It doesn't ask you to on this task, but sometimes they ask you to put the page number in. Don't just type in number 1, because otherwise number 1 will appear on every page. Go to page number, current position, and just plain number, and it will put in a number 1 on this page, and obviously that will change to number 2 on page 2. It doesn't ask for that in this task, so we'll get rid of it. Close header and footer, or double click on the document and it will take you back to the main sort of body of the document. Make sure the alignments match the page margins. They will. Make sure that headers and footers on the page are displayed on all pages. They will. At the start of the document, enter the title Offshore Wind Energy. Make sure that you get the correct capital letters. Sometimes they miss a capital letter out just to see if you're paying attention, I think. So Offshore Wind Energy needs to go at the start. So just press enter. Okay. Make the title center aligned, font size 26 and bold and underlined. So bold, underlined, it's not selected, bold, underlined, font size 26 and center aligned. And then it says below the title add the subtitle report by and add your name. Set the title and the subtitle to a sans serif font. So sans, obviously French for without, therefore it shouldn't have flicks, so go with Calibri. You can go with Arial as well. Don't go with anything fancy, because sometimes those fonts are actually a little bit bigger and it just causes you problems later on. Make sure the subtitle is right aligned, 18, italic and bold. So right aligned, italic, that was Control and I if you want to use the shortcuts, if not just press up here. Doesn't say it needs to be underlined and it needed to be size 18. So that one's all done. After the subtitle, format the rest of the document as body text into 3 equally spaced columns with a 1.5 centimeter space between them. You've got to highlight the text, don't just go to columns, otherwise it will put the title in the column as well. So you've got to highlight the text, make sure that the titles aren't selected. Page layout again, columns, more columns, and we're going to set it to 3 with a 1.5 gap between them. Press OK and it will automatically change that. Set all of the body text. Well, it's just told us that the rest of the document is body text, so therefore that's what it's talking about, the rest of the document. It needs to be fully justified, size 12. So we've already got it highlighted, so we need to go to the Home tab, and this one is fully justified. You've got left align, centre align, right align, and this one is fully justified. It will make it sort of straight down both edges. It does stretch some of the words out a little bit, but that's what the exam will want. It also needs to be size 12, so we can select size 12 from there. It needs to be a serif font, so we're going to change it to Times New Roman. Again, a nice small font, and it needs to be single line spaced. To do that, you've got your line spacing here. If you hover over it, it will come up with line spacing, and you can just select one, which is single line spacing. If you're not sure, you could go to line spacing options, and in here it's called single, but it's the same thing essentially. Just frozen a little bit. Just check everything's done as we told, which it has. Make sure there is a single blank line after each paragraph of the body text. So this is a single blank line where you can just click the cursor. So just have a little scroll down, make sure that none of the paragraphs are joined together, which doesn't look like they are. In the left column, before the first paragraph of the document, enter the subheading a global power source, capital letter for each one. Identify all the subheadings in the document and make them all centre aligned, bold and underlined. So centre aligned, bold, underlined. Sans serif, so Calibri, and size 14. Now, if you want to use Format Painter, it doesn't always work for some reason with this, but if you click on Format Painter, once you've got this highlighted, and then you can highlight your other subheadings, and it should, which it has, set those to have the same formatting. Make sure you haven't missed any out. It's a daft mark to lose if you're doing 8 of them and there's supposed to be 9. Okay, I think that is all of them. Make sure there is a 1 line space below each subheading. So again, just check. This one, there is a gap there. It may move around shortly, so we will we'll check that later on. Okay, so then the next task is to insert a table with 2 columns and 11 rows after the text, the 9 European countries, etc. So 2 columns, 11 rows. We need to find that. Okay, so that's here. So we will insert a table with 2 columns and 11 rows. Now, as we can't do that with this little graphical option here, we need to go to Insert Table. So it was 2 columns and 11 rows. Press OK. At the moment it's split across the page, which we're not going to want, but we'll leave it for now because we might put a picture in or something and it might move it anyway. So merge the cells in the top row of the table. Right mouse click, merge cells. and then it says to enter the following data into the table. So offshore wind power in Europe, etc. And then the same with all of this. Make sure that you don't miss any capital letters or make any spelling mistakes, because you do get a mark for entering the data accurately. It says then make sure that the table fits within the column and there's a single line space above and below the table, and that the text is formatted as body text. So we're just going to check what this is. So this is Times New Roman size 12, that's Times New Roman size 12 as well, so it is the same as the body text. It then says to format only the top row of the table to be bold and centre aligned. So we would highlight this one and set it to bold and centre, and apply a light grey shading to the top 2 rows of the table, 20 to 40%. So if we highlight those cells and you've got your fill colour here, if you hover over them just for a second, it will tell you what percentage it is. So that one's 35, so that one is okay. And then it says find a clip art image of a wind turbine or windmill. Resize the image to be 3.5 centimetres high. So to do that, let's find out where it's going to go. Place this image on the first page below the subheading, a global power source, aligned with the first paragraph to the left. So it's got to go underneath the heading global power source. So we might as well click the cursor there to start with and go to insert, and then go to online pictures. Clip art's disappeared, it's been replaced with online pictures. Search using Bing, and it was for a windmill. And we've got some clip art images. Try and pick one that looks cartoony, so that the exam board aren't going to say that that's a picture, not a clip art. Go to insert. If it doesn't work, which it doesn't for me, then what you're going to need to do is on the internet search for a windmill clip art, click on it, always click on view image, and then morning Joel, and then copy the image. Want to say anything to the year 11s? No. Okay. Copy the image and then put it after a global power source heading. It then says to resize that. If you double click on the picture, it will take you to the picture formatting menu, and it needed to be a height of 3.5. So press enter and it will change that for you. It then said that it needs to be aligned with the top of the first paragraph and to the left margin. So you're going to need to look at the, well, it actually says it here as well, make sure the text wraps around the image, but you can kind of get an idea of that from the picture as well. It needs to be aligned to the left and to the top, so it wraps around it. So if we again double click on that and go to wrap text, and we want it to be square, and then if you can use the keys on your keyboard to sort of move it across more accurately, and that to me looks like it is aligned with the top and to the left, possibly a little bit further left because there's a bit of white space. So that will get the marks for that bit. It then says apply square shaped bullets to the list, which goes from higher wind speeds to no noise, and you've also got to set it to 1.5 line spacing. So we'll find that list, which is here, highlight it and go to bullets and use the drop down list, and we have one that's square here, so we can choose that one. And on this list it needed to be a 1.5 line spacing. Like that. It then just says to save the document, and that would be 100% on this task, which obviously gives you then a bit of a stronger platform going into the database in case you make the odd mistake there.